The first thing that comes to mind is what kind of content do I create to start to attract more of that audience? Because right now, my audience, I believe, is largely teachers who are not working their own business. And it just so happens that I have enough of them who are willing to pay that, that's where my attention has gone. But I know for sure that most of my audience, they do not have their own business. So how do I start to market and create content?
You ask them, your paying customers, what they want to know more about.
And you change, and you don't care if all the other people go away. To be a successful online entrepreneur, you got to be a magnet. You got to draw in the exact person that will pay you. And you have to, on the other side, just like a magnet, you have to repel everyone else, because everyone else is taking up time and energy and is preventing you from helping the people that are willing to pay for the help. So you're going to have to forget about those other people who you have constantly told us, boy, they just won't pay. They won't buy anything. That's not what we're going to do. That's like going to a vegetarian conference and setting up a barbecue stand. You know what I mean?
Selling beef jerky.
It don't matter how good your beef jerky is. Ain't nobody there going to buy it because they're looking for kale,
Right.
So they were your audience, you thought, because you were going to try to convince them to eat meat. But we can't do that. So we're going to move on and forget all those people, and we're going to go somewhere else and set up the barbecue stand.
And this can be a little scary, we're not saying that this is going to be an easy thing to do. I mean, it's hard when you've built up an audience and they know, like, and trust you. But if they're not willing to give you money, then it's not a business.
Yeah, I think that what you've got to do don't worry about anything you've ever done. You do have an audience. You've got people following you. Some of those people are going to become this person we're going to talk about too, right? But I think the first thing that has to happen is your language has to change. Your content has to change. Not going backwards. We're not going to change anything in the past. We're just going to move forward from this date forward. From now on, you are an edupreneur coach. You help teachers who want to take their side hustle to the next level. It could be someone who's made $50 on Teachers Pay Teachers, and they're like, man, there's something to this, And they may come up with something like we did, like a lesson plan thing. It may be people who do want to get into consulting, but you're not going to have this big long, course anymore. It's going to be more Q&A, like, let me coach you to get to that next level. But your language is going to have to change where you're not so open. It's more like, have you made any money on the side? I can help you grow that into a real business, something that could pay your mortgage, something that even might eventually lead to your last year in the classroom. Okay. That's the kind of language that I really feel has been trying to come out of you in the forums. And I think that if you pivot that way, you're going to be able to get some information out of these people that are already paying you and figure out how to go get the next ones. If you can find 2, you can find 202. You just have to figure out who they are.
This whole conversation is so amazing because, like, when I started this business, that's exactly what my focus was. I was teaching teachers how to start a tutoring company on the side because it's the first thing that I did.
That's right.
When I was in the classroom. And I think over time, I've let what other people have asked me kind of take me off that focus.
Yep.
So I think this is I even started the blog by interviewing teachers turned entrepreneurs. Like, those were my first 5-6 blog posts. So I think this is going to refocus me on what the original intent of the business was supposed to be from the start.
And it's also easier because, like, when you focus in like on being an educational consultant, listen, there's only 5% or less of all teachers that would ever even go into that. You know what I mean? So, like, it's hard. That's a hard sell. But when you look at a person and your whole thing is like teachers with a side hustle. Hey, anybody that's made $100 on the side and up, I'm going to talk to you, and we're going to talk about how you did that and how you do it consistently with tutoring, with whatever. Like, that's such an easy thing to see, and it also creates less of a barrier. All those people that are already in your audience listening, it starts becoming real to them, because then they're like, I don't have to be an educational consultant, which sounds all like you have to have a PhD or something. It's like, wait a minute, you mean I can tutor and make $500 a month? How do I do that? And
how do I do that?
And then how do I run the business after? That's what you got to go after right now.
Okay, so I heard you say that I'm gonna pivot from creating like these courses and these products to having more one-on-one conversations.
Not one-on-one, one to many. We're not going to do one-on-one anymore if we can help it. Okay. So
thinking about the idea of one-to-many, what do you think that model might look like if I'm serving this audience?
I think it definitely looks like a very like a group coaching, group call scenario, 10 to 20 people on calls, doing Q&As. I do think there's trainings, but I think you need to shift your mindset away from just I teach this kind of educational business like tutoring. More like, here's what usually happens where people have the most trouble, and that you've made it because you actually are working for yourself. They don't know how to run a business. People can usually figure out how to make the money.
It's things like, do I need an LLC? How do I start a spreadsheet from my taxes? It's information like that.
Kiana, how did you, save your money? How do you budget for your business? How do you, whatever?
Okay.
And those are things that your audience will tell you that they want to know about. So all you have to do is ask, and you just tell them the information they want to know. I mean, it's really that simple.
Yep. You get the first initial facts like we do on people, like, what are you doing? How are you doing it? Okay, outside looking in, forest for the trees, this is what we see, And then so your trainings can revolve around building that business, getting new clients in different spaces, and just let the conversation start flowing with these people, and it's going to be a whole lot easier to make content going forward.
Perfect.
You just listened to an excerpt from this week's Flip Lifestyle podcast. To listen to the full podcast, complete with the show notes, photos, and links mentioned in the show, click the link on the description below. You can click on these to listen to Shane and Jocelyn answer other important questions about online business from this week's guest. For updates on future episodes, make sure you click subscribe.